Hello nerds, it is I, Sages, the Sage Master of 15, who is here to ruin your video games once and for all. But no. I'm here to ruin the fun. I hope you guys all enjoy what I'm about to talk to you about, because oh boy, people keep bugging me about this, and I understand there's a lot of people who are still new to the game, so you know what? I will do this for you because I keep getting this question, be it on DMs on Discord, messages in, YouTube, comments in YouTube, snail mail, I don't know. Maybe, skywriting, something along those lines, I don't know. And then sometimes in my Kermit the Frog voice, even though it's nowhere close. But still, this question is something that I get asked a lot, and I guess we'll just cover it as quickly as possible in a new segment I like to call Sages Ruins Everything, especially the magic of video games. So, I have a wide variety of heroes, as you can see here, and none of them, well, at least not most of them, are the same. And there is a reason for that, mostly because, one, sometimes I have terrible luck. Two, what is that luck in, regard to a lot of things? Well, I guess we'll just explain. So, every character, when you get him, they basically, I'm going to be saying basically a lot, they have the same sort of stat values. They always have around the same stat values, usually with neutral amounts. You'll never really see any abnormality, essentially. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to show you a character that I can, reasonably show you. So here is Reinhard level 1. Oh, nope, that was great. My hand slipped. Whoops! Alright, let's try this again. So, I have two Reinhards here. Here's one on this end, as you can see. Those are his stats, and typically his stats are around this area. But if you take a look over at this Reinhard, you may spot a difference. And I'm just gonna, click between the two so you can kind of tell. And, that's basically... Oh, that was Legion for a second. You can kind of get the indication as to what's going on. So, on the left side you see that defense is, the defense is higher but the resistance is lower, while on the right side, the resistance is higher and the defense is lower. That is what we call IVs, or Banes and Boons, if you're whatever you want to call it. Basically, they are individual values, in a sense. That's kind of where... I guess it's kind of like a Pokemon thing. I don't know. That's where I think a lot of people are getting that kind of thing from. Basically, your character, while they always will have the same amount of stats, they will have differentiating values. And so, to give you a better idea here, my Reinhard here on the right has, from my understanding at least, a resistance boon. You can kind of tell from that he does, in fact, have that boon. And what that means is that, basically, it took a value away, in this case, defense, by 1, and then added resistance by 1. Now, at level 1, you won't really notice the difference because, well, that's one stat, and while one stat is, a bit of a difference when it comes to heroes, you will start to notice it more as you go along. IVs alter your character, and when you summon them, they are a random kind of chance pull, along with, of course, getting the character. So whenever you see someone, complaining, oh man, I got an attack, minus Lucina, that means that they got a Lucina that has an attack boon. I mean, Bane, not boon. Bane. A negative IV on that Lucina that has an attack. And that means that she will have a lower stat value in attack as she grows. And that can be pretty substantial for a lot of characters, because by the end of it, at level 40, at 4 stars, that is about 3 or 4 stat value. And that can be, in essence, the changing factor for a lot of characters, and that can really damage some characters too. So, when it comes down to a lot of, I mean, granted, with these two examples, I really can't, give you an example that's too crazy, because, these are neutral stats for the most part. They won't really affect Reinhard too much. They might make him survive a little bit better if you really want to, but by the end of it, he's going to have a little bit more defense or a little bit more resistance. It's nothing too insane there. But on some characters where, you know, something like some of these more valuable stats really matter, I guess I could give you kind of an example. Not the best example, but something that's just right off the top of my head. So, let's see if I can't dig her up. I actually just got her. Yep, there we go. lon'qu. So this lon'qu, from my understanding from the math that I've done, and I'm going to keep and put a IV calculator in the description. The easiest way to tell a character's IVs is to, of course, you know, check them out either at when they're level 1 or level 40. I suggest 1, of course. That way you can check before you level them up. But it's easier to see what stat value you're at because, well, that's just, yeah, it's easier than leveling them up and going, oh god, I have to get them to 40 now. But my lon'qu, she has Resistance Bane. At least from my understanding, she does, if I recall correctly. Let me just pull that up real quick. I do apologize if this is not as profesh as you guys. I think they still say profesh, right? Profesh, as some of you enjoy, but that's just how life is. Basically, okay. lon'qu, she does have some interesting things, but mostly she has a pretty nice resistance ratio. At least as a character she does. Normally at neutral she would get 34. Unfortunately my lon'qu here has a Bane in resistance, so instead at max level she will get 31. This doesn't really alter too much, but it could hurt if you're using certain abilities like, say, Glacius, which is based off your resistance value. It could hurt those characters who may rely on that a bit more steadily. Certain characters, like, you know, say Lucas, who relies on Ignis and things like that, and has an ability that's based around upping his defense, might get a little less play if he gets, you know, a defense boon. Things like that. And that's essentially what someone means when you see in comments, I got such and such, you know, plus attack, minus speed, plus, you know, plus HP, something like that. Every value is different. HP, attack, defense, speed, and resistance. They are all basically randomly thrown into this pool to either be enhanced or, you know, well, I guess I could say de-enhanced. Would that actually be a word? Decreased. Terrible. No, I'm kidding. So when you look at your character, make sure to magnify and look at, you know, their stats when you get them. That'll give you a better idea of what to aim for, as, you know, a lot of characters rely on some IVs, and yes, some IVs do make and break characters. So, yeah, that's basically all I gotta say. So, for those who've been asking me, there you go. IVs are really complicated, and I really dislike talking about them, and whenever you need to look at an IV, I strongly suggest, when you get the character, pull up this calculator and put your character in. That way you can see for yourself. It's never fun when you summon a really rare character and they end up having a negative in the stat that they really need, but just so we're clear, it doesn't mean that the character that you're using is terrible or that the character is by any means ruined. It just might mean that, you know, they're not they're not as strong as they could be. It still means that they're going to be fairly strong though. For instance, is my Ike here, over here, where are you, buddy? Oh god, I'm tired. Here's Ike. He's my little buddy. Fan helped me get him, and I love him every day. I need to level him up all the way, of course, but even though he has an attack Bane, it doesn't necessarily affect him too much. He does do well enough, or he will do well enough. It doesn't mean that he's going to be, you know, terrible, but he probably won't be as good, you know, at min-maxing as a Ike who has more attack or more speed or what have you. So be prepared, understand how Banes and Boons work, put them all into what you want, you know. Hopefully when you summon, you get a character that you want, and they are the best Boon / Bane, whatever, what have you, that you could possibly want. Now, if you don't mind, I'm just going to put a fidget spinner in the video thumbnail, because that's what we do here at this wonderful, wonderful show. We make fun of everything. Thank God. Praise me. I am so good at this game. No, I'm kidding. Alright, I'm going back to bed. No, I'm not going back to bed. I'm going back to Final Fantasy XIV. I'm gonna get Red Mage to level 60. See you later, nerds. Good lord. Stop asking me. No, I'm kidding. See you later, guys. And this was SAGES Ruins the Magic of Everything.